Am I the idiot for not telling my wife where her son has been hiding? I've been with my wife for 5 years, married for 4.5. I have a daughter. Ma and my wife have 2 kids together, and she has Leo, male 16, who she was adamant that I would not parent when we got together. I was fine with that since his dad is still in his life. Leo and his mother don't get on, never have. Arguments happen often and he tries to ignore her. It's just him, none of our other kids. I've tried to talk to her about it, but she just says that he's not my son. 2 years ago I had to get my daughter's toy from the roof of our house and found him sitting up there in a spot you could not see from the ground, listening to music and reading a book. He looked scared when I saw him. I just gave him a smile, then threw the toy down to my daughter. A couple days later we were the only ones home and he came to me to talk about it. I told him that I get why he needs some time to himself. What he is doing will not damage the roof and there is no way for him to fall off the roof where he sits or the path he takes to get there, out his window. Also, it's not like he is sneaking up there to drink or smoke. Plus my wife has said not to parent him, so I don't have an issue with it and I won't say anything. I did say something to him when I noticed he started bringing a boy up there. I just told him to make sure he is quiet when talking and to not do anything stupid. There have been times where his mother needed him, couldn't find him and would just assume he was out, but I knew he wasn't, but again I didn't say anything. Fast forward to now. About a week ago my wife installed a tracker app on all our kids' phones due to it getting darker in the afternoon when they are out. Plus one of her friends recently did the same with her kids. Well, today she was looking for Leo and couldn't find him. Assuming he was out, she checked his location and he was in the house. She started searching and yelling for him. He heard and quickly climbed down the outside of the house to drive. He then walked in the house and pretended that he was just out with some friends and got back, and that I knew he was out. I cover for him sometimes. Well, even though it is actually completely plausible that it would show his location as in the house if he was just walking up to it, she wasn't convinced and came to me, demanding to know where Leo. I said that he told me that he had been out with friends, but I just saw him walk up the driveway. Both true. She clearly wasn't happy about my answer and has been threatening more surveillance and grounding Leo, and she's also saying I'm tough for not telling her. I didn't think I was in the wrong, but after thinking it over while I was just trying to look out for Leo, I did overstep her boundaries as a parent. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're respecting her own rules and his space. But I would make sure he knows there's a tracker app on his phone. Not the idiot, because if you told her, then you would be parenting and he would just go somewhere further away and likely somewhere less safe. Update. My wife and I had a serious talk. I told her that while I have no intent to replace his father, it is ridiculous that I have no say when it comes to Leo since he lives in my house. I also told her that her behavior towards Leo is smothering and that if she keeps up like this she will drive him away. When I said that, I think it really hit her. She started to listen more and was a lot more receptive to what I had to say. I told her that the tracking app was a violation of their privacy, and that if she wants to keep them then she must let them. My eldest daughter and Leo, our other kids, are young enough where I think tracking them is okay. Turn it on and off. If she wants to know where they are, she can call or text them. She tried to get me to tell her where Leo has been hiding. I told her I'm not telling her. I have gained Leo's trust, and having an adult round that he can confide in and trust will be very helpful while she's trying to repair her relationship with him. Also, I told her to think about how far she's pushing him if he needs to find a place to hide from her. I told her that we should look into therapy, both as a couple and just for her, as it will be able to help her deal with her emotions and help her on her path to reconnect with her son. At the end of this, we had a look at local therapists, and she also sat down with Leo and let him tell her how he feels, promising him he can say anything and he won't be in trouble. I'm also going to be having a talk with Leo, just so he knows I'm here for him, also to tell me or his dad if anything happens, and to tell him that while his mother wants to make things right, things can happen on his timeline, and he doesn't have to do anything, forgive anything, or talk about anything that he is not ready for yet. It's only a start and we still have a way to go as a family, but I think this is a step in the right direction. Thank you for your help. Also, I wanted to answer a few questions I was getting on my original post. Yes, she parents my daughter, because I let her. Leo's dad and I are on friendly terms, but he wasn't aware of a lot of this happening as Leo hadn't told him. My daughter is 15 and my younger 2 are both 4, not twins. The elder one turns 5 very soon and my youngest only recently turned 4. The kids did know about the tracker, but they didn't really get a choice in it. Yes, me and my wife married after only being together for 6 months. It was kinda an ultimatum I was given, but I didn't really mind. Leo is the spitting image of his father, but I don't think the resemblance caused the issues like some of you suggested. But I don't know for sure since my wife never gave me an answer when I tried to find out why. Not the idiot. Your wife sounds like a narcissist, tracking her son and giving you an ultimatum to marry her after 6 months. She just wants to control everything. Not the idiot. I feel like congratulations are in order with what sounds like amazing progress for everyone. Good luck with it all, Opus. You sound like a fantastic dad. Do you think his wife is a wacko? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot? Update. Not wanting to officially adopt my daughter. This is long and messy. In high school I had two best friends. Mark, 32, but he passed away in May, 32F. I, male 30, got kicked out of the house when I turned 16. Mark's family took me in and became like my adopted parents. Mark and May started dating when they were juniors in HS. After they graduated, Mark joined the military. During his first leave, May became pregnant. Shortly after his return to service, Mark passed away. We were devastated. She at the time was staying with Mark's parents and I was still living there. I took her to all of her appointments, helped her through her pregnancy. They put Mark's name on the birth certificate. By this time I had graduated early and was looking to go to local college. I became busy with school but helped any time I could. 3 years later I graduated and got a good job and my own place. May moved in with me with her now 3 years old daughter Alice. Alice started calling me Dada. We tried to persuade her not to do that, but we failed. The year of us living together I started having real feelings for May. I talked to Mark's parents and they gave me the green light. Nothing happened between us up to this point. 2 years later we married. 1 year after that she gave birth to our daughter Jenny. Yesterday was Alice's 12th birthday. It was just me, May, Alice, Jenny and Mark's parents. We have told her about Mark throughout the years and she knows that he is really her dad. When Alice finished opening her presents she pulled the last one out and handed it to me. I opened it and it was adoption papers. At some point Alice told May that she wanted to be officially my daughter. I explained that she is my daughter and I love her with all my heart. I tried to explain that Mark is her birth father and that she is both his and my daughter. With that I gently explained that I don't think it was a good idea and I would have to think about it. She got upset and ran to her room. Mark's parents ended up leaving. May and I got into a fight. I said I don't want to erase Mark from our history. After some back and forth she called me in awe and walked to Alice's room. She wouldn't let me in to talk and locked me out of the room. This morning she would not talk to me and Alice was still crying. I don't know what to do. Please help. Also I know it will be said divorce is not an option. I plan on going over to Mark's parents later tonight. Edit. I have not talked to Mark's parents yet. I will later tonight. Also we have never discussed this situation in the past. I thought we were in a place of understanding that I am her dad but Mark was her father. Her birthday was on Tuesday. You're the idiot. You got so caught up in honoring someone who is gone that you forgot to honor the person right in front of you. You're the idiot. You didn't want to erase Mark, but you effectively erased yourself as Alice's dad, the only dad she has ever known. And for God's sake, if adopting her is called erasing, you shouldn't have married May. That's even worse. Update. When Mark went on leave for the first time he was home for 2 weeks before he got shipped out. In those 2 weeks Alice was conceived. Mark is 100% Alice's bio dad. Disregarding Alice's feelings was the last thing I wanted to do. May, Alice and Jenny are my world. I don't treat my daughters any different. My feelings for May changed when I saw the way she would interact with Alice after they moved in. It filled my heart with more emotion and love that I had not felt ever before that point. The party was just a close family, which is only us four and Mark's, my parents. Since it was a weeknight, they left so we could work things out. Mark is the only reason I made it past my teen years. I was in a deep and dark spiral. He saved me. So when people say he is dead, get over it. I can't. He never gave up on me and I refused to give him up. I went to Mark's parents and had a nice talk with them. They said Mark would be happy and proud of who I am and how well I have taken care of the people he loved. They don't feel like I am replacing their son in any way, but I am a son to them. I called my wife and she agreed to talk. I admitted how I felt we should have had this talk before the party and this could have been avoided. At that she did apologize. I then explained more about why I said what I did, personal feelings and emotions. She said that she thought I would be happy and signed. I explained my point of view and she understood my concerns and hesitation. We were finishing the conversation when Jenny ran out of her room and asked if we were okay. I said yes and that I love her very much. I then went to talk to Alice alone. I went to her room and my heart broke again. She was still crying on her bed. I knocked and asked if we could talk. She squeaked out a yes. I sat on the edge of her bed while she had her back to me. I told her that I love her and I will always be her dad. I apologized, saying that I never meant to hurt her. Sometimes adults make mistakes and are not clear with their words or emotions. I made a mistake and hope one day I can make it up to her. I explained Mark was a very important person in my life and I am grateful that he was able to help bring a beautiful and special daughter into my life. I will always love her and that I have the best daughters in the world. Not the full conversation. She turned around and hugged me really tight. It was one of the best hugs of my life. I told her that it would be my honor to adopt her if she still wants that. Between sobs she said she did. We stayed like that until she fell asleep. After that, May and I did a very overdue heart-to-heart and deep talk. It is not all sunshine and rainbows, we still have a lot of healing to do. I have not signed yet, but I will. We as a family are looking through all of the legal options and we are on the books for therapy. No idiots here. This was so touching to read. I was confused by how many were labeling you the idiot. It's such a complicated situation and I'm glad you were able to work through it with communication. Wish you all the best. No idiots here. I'm really happy about how everything turned out and strongly disagree with the verdict on the main post. It's never a good idea to surprise someone with something huge, mainly because this affected Alice, a child. Should he adopt Alice? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not wanting to do Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' without my wife? I, male 30, feel stupid for even asking. My sister, 29, and my wife, female 34, did not have the best history. Before we met, my wife was my sister's landlady and she was renting the room at the back of my wife's house 6 years ago. She got evicted less than 4 months after moving in because my sister did not pay her rent at all. Then she was taken to court for damages that cost way more than she put down on the security deposit. My sister did end up having to pay but basically hated my wife for this. We met after this all went down and I went to go pick up my sister's stuff she left behind that my wife was decent enough to not have thrown out yet. We started chatting and really hit it off, started dating. A year and a half later she got pregnant with our son. Now happily married, but my sister never took it well. We weren't as close before all this, but after becoming a traitor in her eyes we didn't talk much. She hasn't even met my son who's 3. My parents are really trying to push for us all to have a family Thanksgiving at their place. My sister never wanted to go because I'd be there with my wife and she didn't want to see me. My parents never pushed it before because they didn't think my sister was being fair considering the issues she has with my wife were all things she did herself. This year they feel different though since my sister broke up with her boyfriend of 6 years and it's her first holiday WOM. She however doesn't want to see my son or wife, so that's why they're asking if they will be left at home. My wife doesn't have any other family and I don't want her and my son missing out because my sister doesn't want them there. It's not a problem for me to miss out on dinner with my wife so my sister could have company. And I just stay home with my own family. My sister is blowing it out of proportion because she wants me there, but I'm being an idiot because she wants the whole family there. Parents are taking her side here because it's been a difficult year losing her boyfriend and job, so she just wants one family dinner for Thanksgiving. I get it, it's been tough for her. I'm just having a hard time seeing how it's selfish or being inconsiderate to not want to exclude my family. Not the idiot. It's been 6 years and your sister was at fault. Time to grow up and drop the grudge. And the fact that she would hold it against your toddler is ridiculous. If she wants her whole family there, she needs to accept that your wife and child are family, whether she likes it or not. Family doesn't always get along. She needs to deal with that or not expect you there. Update. Well, of course I didn't follow along with their ridiculous request. Wasn't about to leave my wife and child at home to have dinner with people who didn't want my family there. It pissed me off like you can't imagine. We had fights prior to the dinner because I couldn't believe my parents were fine with excluding my son from time to spend with them. It bothered me the more I thought about it. Then there went my sister calling crying that I'm a piece of poop for not being there for her. Honestly, it was so irritating. We went back and forth. I just remember telling her to grow up and stop being spoiled. You know what? And well, she didn't call after that one. We stayed home to have our own Thanksgiving. My son kept asking where grandma and grandpa are. I wasn't about to tell him the real reason that we weren't going with them, so we only told him they're a little sick so we can't go. He still wanted to talk to them. They video chatted for a while, then you could hear my sister in the background. Then they were suddenly in a hurry to end the call. I'm sure she didn't know they were talking to us. I tried not to let that anger me too much so we could all be in a good mood. To the person who suggested a nice pajama Thanksgiving dinner. Well, we followed through on that and it was pretty relaxing. My son decided he wanted to go all out with his dinosaur PJs. It was a lovely time. We made a pillow fort after dinner, then my son fell into a food coma so me and my wife had some alone time too. This was so much better than any dinner with my parents and someone who has no respect for my family. It really left me with a completely different view of them. I know she really is going through something difficult and my parents are trying to help, but it hurts knowing that I wanted to toss my family to the side to make her happy. For that reason we won't be spending Christmas with them either, which has been a whole thing too, but oh well, they did this to themselves. We're taking a little family vacation up to the mountains so my son can enjoy the snow. Just to do something fun on Christmas so he doesn't focus on the fact that we're not spending it with his grandparents either. Not the idiot. Coming from someone who has no contact with their mother, I tell my kids a kids-friendly version of the truth. That way no one else can come along and spin lies and turn them against me. For me it's been, my mom has problems and it makes her mean and I don't want you guys, my kids, to have her be mean to you. You could explain for Christmas simply that Granny and Pa need to support Auntie right now cause she is sad and Auntie asked to not do celebrations with us this year while she gets better. So we are going to do our own fun things. Sure, it's nicer than what is happening, but at least kid knows. Am I the idiot for making my 7-year-old go to Alcoholics Anonymous? I, female 31, have an amazing son, almost 8, who is incredibly sweet, well-mannered and inquisitive. Although, I guess most parents think of their kids that way. I quit drinking about 2 months ago and have been adamant about doing the AA program correctly. 90 meetings in 90 days, sponsor, daily readings, therapy, etc. I really want to be a good mom and make up for my bad decisions when I was drinking. I never harmed him or put him in danger, but I just wasn't present and am remorseful about my drinking past. The problem is that I'm a single mom who works full-time and I live in a small town. Because it's small, there aren't a lot of options in terms of AA meetings, so the only one I can really attend is the 5:30 based on my schedule and my son's. His father has him part-time, so on those days, I can attend meetings by myself, but on my days I have to bring my son. I don't have anyone to leave him with, and babysitting wouldn't work because nobody wants to babysit for just 1 hour. It doesn't financially make sense for them. So, I take my son to meetings. Naturally, he isn't too thrilled when I have to. Before you suggest I could do Zoom meetings, I really don't get anything out of them. I like the in-person connection and atmosphere. My ex, who has never taken my alcoholism seriously and has never actually attended an AA meeting, says I'm tough for exposing our child to that kind of atmosphere and those kinds of people. The truth is, those people are what have saved my life. They are so sweet and good with my son, and while sometimes the subject matter can be a little adultish, we mostly talk about how to be better people and live a spiritually sound existence, and to help our fellow man. I personally think it's good for my son to be surrounded by people that are trying to better themselves, and also to let him know at an early age the effects of alcoholism as it runs in my family. But maybe I'm tall and way off the mark and I'm doing more damage than good. I would just like outside opinions that aren't emotionally connected to the situation. Am I an idiot for taking my 7-year-old to AA meetings with some of the topics that are addressed? Edit. I super appreciate everyone's responses. It gave me a lot of insight. Admittedly, I didn't really think about how other members may feel about having a child there. I was mostly thinking about the comfort of my son. I will say that the group is all old-timers that have years of sobriety and largely just talk about service work and how much better their lives are. But, as many have pointed out, the presence of a child may deter members from talking about serious subjects, so I'll either just give my kid headphones and a tablet to play with, something I usually hate doing, but I guess I'll just have to suck it up, or do Zoom meetings when I have him. Again, thank you for all of the input, even the people that were incredibly harsh with their verdict. You're an idiot. I hate to say it because you are doing well, especially wanting to attend all the meetings. But taking your child to the meetings is not only unfair to him, it is unfair to the other people in the meeting. I have been to AA as well as other groups for other issues that are styled the same way, with steps. These groups are for people to talk about their past, their issues, and it is not always pretty. There is crying, emotions all over the place. Having the child there means these people are not able to fully express themselves. Not an idiot. My mom went to AA my whole life. When she didn't have childcare, she did what she had to do. As long as you're supervising your kid and making sure he doesn't get hurt by strangers, it's not a big deal. I promise you he isn't listening to the meeting. My brothers and I have been dragged along to AA meetings since birth, and actually, I would say that the people I've met through my mom have enriched our lives. Update. First and most importantly, I'm still sober and feel better than I have in years. I can now be more present and a better mom to my child, and for that, I'm incredibly grateful. AA has quite literally saved my life, and if anyone who is reading this struggles with addiction, I just want to say there is a way out. You just have to know you are worth it, and sobriety is worth it. My first post ended up being a mixed bag in terms of judgments about my assholery. I accept my judgment of being the odd, but I did want to clarify a common misconception. Abstaining from alcohol is just a small portion of AA. A much larger portion is dedicated to looking into why we drink, take accountability for our selfish actions, and apologize accordingly, and to rectify our character defects so we can be better PPL to our friends and family. Because of these aspects, I was hoping exposing my son to the program would teach him something about accountability, patience, and empathy. I ended up just asking my AA home group if it bothered them that I brought my son to meetings. Not only did everyone look at me like I grew a second head for even asking for permission, every parent in the group talked about their own children growing up in AA and how you do what you have to do to stay sober. Essentially, the consensus was that it is far better for a kid to have to be dragged to meetings a few hours a week than to have a mom drunk all the time. I still take my son to AA meetings, but now I allow him to play on my tablet with headphones. I got renamed in the comments for not allowing my kid to do this before. Fair enough. I just have this thing about kids being on technology as a quick fix for boredom. But I need to get over that. My son gets a lot of treats and gifts from my home group members. One dude gives him $10 and $20 every time he sees my son. I know, right? Untapped resource. My son is learning how to play electric guitar, and 2 AA members will riff with my son and talk about music. Jimi Hendrix is currently my son's hero. All in all, my son likes the attention and says he doesn't mind going to meetings. A surprising update in all of this is that my son's dad has stopped drinking, although he currently refuses to attend AA. My relationship with my ex is much better and my kiddo seems much happier as a whole. Not an idiot. You should be incredibly proud of yourself for the work you're putting in. Congrats on getting and staying sober. I'm happy to read about your life getting better, and I couldn't help but smile reading about this group who have really embraced your son. Was she wrong to bring her son to AA? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not wanting to force my children to go to church every Sunday? I, a female 27, and my husband, male 30, have 2 kids. My husband and I both grew up Catholic but had very different experiences within the church growing up, even though we grew up attending the same church with the same community. His family was the example of a good Catholic family, parents still married happily, a good amount of kids, there every Sunday. For our small farm community, they were what others should want to be. Surface only, behind the scenes they are nothing like what they portrayed at church. I was born out of wedlock by a teen mom and grew up in a broken home. Was adopted but parents later divorced. Due to that, I was often the butt of the gossip around the church and was often told to my face that I was going to hell just for being born. But my mom still forced me to go every week, Wednesday and Sunday, even though at a young age it led to me coming home crying. She forced me to volunteer and participate in numerous activities to try and prove my worth. I have zero issues with my faith. I still believe in the Catholic religion. My issue is with the church itself. I pray regularly, occasionally listen to Mass, but I don't feel like I need to show my face in the building to be whole and complete in my faith. Recently, my husband's best friend, male 29, got very into religion again after years of nothing. My husband was very proud of him for finding that piece that he, best friend, said was missing. This has also caused my husband to get more involved again, which I don't mind. But now my husband wants us to become that picture-perfect Catholic family by attending every week on our Sunday best, no ifs, ands, or buts. I talked to him and he says he understands my feelings to a point, but he only knew love and praise from the church, so, to his own admission, only somewhat understands, and says we can't shelter our children from God just because I felt abandoned by the community growing up. We still live in the same area we grew up in. I am not trying to keep my kids from God. I plan to teach them, pray with them, etc., but he doesn't think it's enough. Am I an idiot? Not an idiot. Let the kids decide if they want to partake in that religion when they are old enough to make that decision on their own. I am not a fan of forcing anyone to partake in any religious activities or practices. It should be a choice, and children's brains are like sponges. They absorb and often believe everything they are told and taught. So I sort of view it as brainwashing to an extent if they are being told what to believe in religiously during their entire childhood. That's not right in my opinion. Update. My husband and I spoke last night and I showed him the post and all the comments. He appreciates the insight and people sharing their experiences since it really helped him see his was the uncommon one. He admits he dove headfirst at 1000% into this whole thing, which he has a habit of doing, and one of the adorable quirks I've come to love over the years. Never half-assed tries something, always very overly passionate for maybe a week or so before he calms down. He feels guilty for it coming off as him wanting to dismiss my experience and feelings for the fake perfect family image, which he swears is not his intent, and I believe him. His reason for wanting us to go as a whole family was partly because he misses the sense of community he felt growing up from the church, and ideally was in the mindset that us going as a family will give our kids that same feeling, experience as they grow. He thought many of my negative experiences came from me going to church with my broken family, but he listened and asked me to explain in detail, if I was comfortable, exactly the type of stuff I went through. After I did, he realized that our children will most likely end up subject to it as well. Our older child was born before we married, regardless of the church not acknowledging our marriage, and our younger one I was pregnant at the wedding with. He understands now that most of the ridicule I got and hate I experienced was mainly from just existing and nothing I personally had any control over. He doesn't want our children going through that or risking myself reliving it. He still wants to get back into it because he truly feels like he's missing something in his life and thinks this may be it since it was a huge part of his life for a long time, which I fully support. But he plans to start by just watching Mass online for a bit. He even spoke to his best friend about all of this, and his friend reiterated that believing and following the faith does not mean you need to physically go to the building. He also quoted Big Bang Theory as someone in the comments on the original post did. As for the children, as they get older we plan to explain our beliefs to them as well as others out there. But as they grow, if they decide it's not for them either at all, or find one they believe fits them better than mine and my husband's, we will support them because being a parent means loving your children as they are, not as you try and make them be. They will be taught to be kind and show love, but not because the church says so, because it's what good people do, religious or not. No idiots here. Love that he's hearing you and considering your children. I am a recovering Catholic, and I know that sense of missing community. It's not a real community if they aren't loving and accepting of you. Why don't you see if there is some mutual aid or organization you can join? A sense of community and doing good works would be excellent for the children too. Should they join the church? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for telling my parents they no longer have a daughter? I, female, 16, have a brother, 14. He has always been a little more feminine, which has never been a big problem. But today while I was getting ready to go to a friend's b-day party, he came into my room and asked if I could put some makeup on him. Literally just a little bit. Blush, eyeshadow, lipstick. So I did, and while I was doing it we were laughing really loud and my parents must have heard us. My mom came into my room when she saw my brother with makeup on. She started screaming at him, then my dad came in and joined. I was trying to calm my parents down while trying to stop my brother crying. After maybe 5 minutes of my parents screaming at my brother, my dad said he will not have a fig as a son. That is when I lost it. I started screaming at my parents, telling them they are terrible humans and they better be ashamed of themselves. It doesn't matter if my brother wants to wear makeup and we were only fooling around, and if their first reaction of seeing my brother with makeup on is to call him a slur, then I no longer want to be around them. And they no longer have a daughter. I took my brother's hand and took him to the bathroom, cleaned his face, then I took him to my grandma's house. We have been staying there for a few days. My grandma knows what happened and is on my brother's side. My mom phoned today and said what I said really hurt her feelings. I said the same thing, that what she said hurt my brother. I feel like I went too far saying what I said, but I also feel like they went too far on what they said about my brother. Am I an idiot for saying my parents no longer have a daughter? I also want to put it out there. My grandma said me and my brother can live with her as I am 16. I can move out of my parents' house and live where I want without them getting me in trouble, but my brother is only 14 and has 2 years left, give or take, till he can move out, so I'm a bit scared they will force my brother to move back in with them. I know if they do, they will only make him feel worse. Not an idiot. Like others have said, awesome humans. Your brother may or may not be gender diverse or non-heterosexual and now knows you have his back for sure. If your parents apologize to both of you and get rid of their homophobia, maybe relationships can be mended. If not, they brought it on themselves. Update 1. It's been about a week since I made this post and I wanted to say thank you all for the support and the advice too. Me and my sibling are still with my granny. She said she is happy to take care of us and that she loves having her grandchildren staying with her 3. My dad hasn't texted, called me or my sibling, but my mom has. She called me and told my sibling to grow up and man up. That what my dad called him is just a word which pissed me off, so I hung up and I've been ignoring their messages. My mom messaged me one last time saying that we have 2 weeks to come home or she will call the police and stop us from seeing my granny, so my gran has got a lawyer, my second cousin, and is ready to fight for custody. She will probably win. My dad is a lousy excuse of a parent while my mom is a mini alcoholic. The family members who know what is happening are on my granny's side. I will update if anything happens with this situation. I also want to say that I sat down with my sibling and my grandma and talked about being transgender, non-binary, and gender fluid. I told my brother that he doesn't need to identify as any of them if he doesn't want to, but if he would like to, I will help him understand them a bit more. Also, I'm calling my brother my sibling just in case. ETA 1. We are still staying with my grandma. My mom and grandma had a conversation but kept us quiet, then left about 2 weeks later. My mom came back with 2 bags of clothes, dumped it and left, so I think that's a good sign. My gran is getting things ready if we ever need to go to court, but by the looks of it my parents have just gave up with us. Not an idiot. I don't know you, but I am so proud of you. It took real guts to stand up to your parents' vile treatment of your sibling. The fact you took them to a place of safety, a granny house, and still refused to accept your parents' treatment of said sibling is just inspiring. Your granny sounds amazing. I hope you and your siblings have a great future with love and support. Am I the idiot for refusing my brother and his pregnant wife? I, female 21, have a boyfriend, male 22, of 3 years who has ASPD. My sister-in-law, who is 5 months pregnant, is scared of him and wants me to end my relationship. After pestering me for days and me trying to reassure her that I have a support system and my boyfriend will be completely cut off from her child, she still wouldn't stop texting me every day to break up. Me and my boyfriend decided to fake break up until the baby is born. Today I was running an errand for my brother and his wife. Sister-in-law asked me if I'm still seeing my boyfriend, to which I answered no. She told me I made the right decision and said that she can finally have a peaceful sleep. She keeps talking about how her stress level has been going up because of my affair and she's glad she won't have to raise a kid in the presence of my boyfriend. This is where I might be the asshole. Sister-in-law asked me if I will move in with them. I answer with a simple no, and when she said she haven't stated the reason for her request and asked me to listen her out, I told her I don't really care about your reason. I won't move in with you and walked out of the house. She texted me, saying it's unfair and cruel of me to be upset at her for trying to do what's best for everyone. She wanted me to stay with them so she can keep an eye on me and that I put her under lots of stress, which is bad for pregnancy. I feel like but also think she's pushing me too much. Edit. My brother have a talk with my sister-in-law and she have called me to apologize for her behavior. I came clean about the fake breakup. She says it's wrong of her to assume the worst in my BF. My brother asked her what would she do if their child was unfortunate enough to have the same diagnosis, and that changed her perspective, her words, but she have her concern still and think it's best for my BF to keep his distance until further notice, and she will be speaking to her doctor about her anxiety and stress. She also offered to apologize to my boyfriend, but my boyfriend says he doesn't care about some pretty words and tells her to manage her own health, both mental and physical. Thanks everyone for your concern and advice, and to all those that made unnecessarily rude comments about my boyfriend and our relationship. Learn some empathy. You're the idiot. Antisocial personality disorder is scary AF. People who have it have a major lack of regard for their safety or anyone else's, and they tend to be violent, break things and lie. And now you are lying too. Feels to me like sister-in-law is trying to get you away from a person who is dangerous. You shouldn't be dating someone that requires a support system and has to be cut off from small children. About the idiot. Your sister-in-law is trying to manipulate you into being her live-in help. First by making sure you are single, next by getting you to move in. Don't lie to her anymore and block her number. Tell you won't be letting his wife harass you anymore. Update. As most of the comments suggested, I will talk to my brother and parents about sister-in-law's behavior. It has been a week and we are all doing mostly good. My sister-in-law has her first therapy session. She finds it nerve-wracking but believes it'll be effective. She tells me that she would randomly think about my boyfriend's diagnosis and get all anxious, and whenever she caught herself getting anxious over this, she played tavern music and drew a medieval town. I don't know the exact term, which seems to work really well to soothe her. She also gets a better sleep and the baby is healthy. I have read all the comments in my original post. Though I disagree with some of the comments about my sister-in-law, I agree that I was at fault for not setting boundaries and lying to her about my relationship. I am truly grateful for all the advices, and it was such a great insight and motivation to read about people who are in a similar situation as me and my BF. I also apologize to my BF for disrespecting our relationship. We both agree that we should no longer disclose his diagnosis to anyone. Unfortunately, we have to change our couple therapist and it's hard finding a new one. Apart from that, things are going well, and last Friday I formally met his family for the first time, which goes beyond my expectation. You're the idiot. The only thing I find you an idiot about and still consider you an idiot about is how you refuse to stand up and still are refusing to stand up for your boyfriend. You did an entire theatrics about breaking up and now excusing her behavior because you know her. Your boyfriend deserves better. Someone who isn't ashamed of him and is willing to put people in their place. Someone who doesn't make excuses for their poor behavior towards boyfriend. He deserves way better. Should she break up with her boyfriend? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for moving my baby brother's bed to my parents and locking my door? My parents had me. Male 16, kinda young, and just last year they decided to have another baby. My brother Leo is 2 months old. I love him, but he cries nonstop every night. My dad and his friends are doing some renovations to the bedroom downstairs, which was supposed to be Leo's room, but some stuff came up and it is delayed now. They told me for a little while Leo is gonna be in my room because my dad needs to get up early for work and he can't sleep if my brother is in their room. It's been annoying AF. Leo cries. It takes my mom time to get to my room, then she turns on the lamp in my room and it takes like a half hour sometimes for her to get him back to sleep. I really hate it. I've kept talking to them about when his room is gonna be ready. My parents say it's gonna be a while, but they still say no, he can't be in the room with them. Monday night I got really annoyed because my mom was knocked out, so I had to get up and change his diaper at like 3 in the morning. When it was nighttime, I moved his crib to their room and told them that I'm tired of hearing him cry all the time in my room. My mom started telling me stuff, then my dad did too when he got home. But I locked my door from inside. They gave up and said fine if that's what I want, and they kept my brother in their room. My dad was pissed the next day when he got home cause I'm sure Leo woke him up whenever my mom needed to do something. Actually, they both look really mad at me. Then my mom told me I acted real unfair to them and we're a family who handles stuff together, so she doesn't think it's right I'm not trying to help them a little here with my brother. So yeah, she does think I'm an ass for that, since Leo being in my room means my dad does have to take up every time my mom needs to feed him or whatever, and he is the one who also provides for us. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your sibling is not your responsibility. They need to actually take the role of the parent and be sleep deprived like the rest of us. It's tough, but that's what they decided. They have no right. Update. My parents aren't mad at me anymore, at least. I decided to show them the comments here on my post plus the sum of the DMs I got from actual parents. And I told them how unfair it is that I gotta be the one losing sleep getting up cause my mom didn't do that when I literally got to school in a couple of hours and it was already hard enough for me. It is super tiring having it happen every night when my bro was supposed to have his room ready a long time ago. I love my little brother, so it's not that I don't want to be around him. But I can't be tired all the damn time. They finally heard me though, at least, and especially my dad apologized. And I said I'm sorry too for doing it that way, but just didn't see how else they would listen. For now they are sticking to having Leo in the room with them. My dad is learning how to deal with crying. But my mom took him to the living room to calm him down. Then when I'm home I try to take him more cause my mom does get super tired and cause I miss him when at school lol. So then I just have him until it's time to eat dinner. But yeah, finally some freaking sleep. That's good to hear. I know having a baby is tough, but it shouldn't fall on the older child to take care of them at night. Glad things have turned around for the better and you still try to help your mom. Not the idiot. It's awesome that things are resolved. It's definitely not your responsibility to deal with a baby that was not your decision to have. It's nice you're helping your mom after school though, that's really kind of you. Should he be more willing to help out with his brother? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for moving my kids 1.5 hours away from my parents? 5 years ago I, female 33, had a bad divorce, divided by 2 small kids. Father is not in the picture and will likely never be, as it stands. I temporarily moved in my parents to get back on my feet. In that time, my parents, kids, and I relocated across the country. Once here, we got a house to share and split everything 50/50. My parents are retired and have not made efforts to branch out. I've gotten a grad degree, friends, and a great job. After 3 years of being single, focusing on my kids, I began seeing someone greater than 1 year ago. He, 35, has a great career, excellent my kids, and we're discussing marriage. In the past months, my boyfriend, kids, and I moved in together and we're happy. In the past, there were boundary issues my parents. While my dad let me parent, my mom was very critical. I feel I'm a devoted parent, and other friends, family tell me I do a great job. My mom crosses boundaries often, and it's been noticed many times by friends and family. She can be controlling and is used to us abiding. An example would be calling me crazy and being very upset that I took the kids on vacation 5 hours away. They had a blast. Now, an opportunity has presented for my boyfriend and I to relocate to a smaller town 1.5 hours away. My boyfriend is successful in a unique line of work that's very geographically limited, and has turned down offers to live abroad, petitioning for a location closer to where we are now so my kids can stay close to family. This move is not entirely optional for him to maintain his position. My job is flexible. The town has good schools, safer and easier living. The kids are excited and had no concerns seeing their grandparents less days per week. My parents would go from seeing the kids before, after school to on the weekends. I broke the news to my family and they are furious. I assured them we'd be back to the city almost all weekends, and they could visit anytime. They told me they never would have moved here if they knew we'd be an hour and a half away. They were devastated and felt used and abused. I never would have accepted their help if I knew I'd be expected to live within a certain radius indefinitely. I feel like I owe them for their support when I was going through the worst time of my life. I love my parents and will be forever grateful for their help. Right now, their weekday revolves around the kids. They don't have hobbies, friends, jobs, so I know it's an adjustment. I feel this is the best move for us, the kids, our careers, and peace of mind. I see a future my boyfriend. He fought to be close to us, and is committed to me and 2 kids that aren't biologically his. Am I the idiot for relocating? Not the idiot. As the mother, if you feel this move will improve your and children's lives, then go for it. It may even force your parents to make friends, get some hobbies, and enjoy a little freedom. This may even bring you closer as a family. Give the kids a chance to miss their grandparents and spend memorable quality time. Not the idiot. They're ridiculous. It's an hour and a half. No biggie. My grandkids live 7 HRS from me. I see them pretty much every other month. I wish they were only 1.5 HRS away, but life didn't work that way. Update. Long story short, not only did we not move 1.5 hours away, we ended up 15 miles away. When the pandemic affected both of our jobs, the original move from the original post never happened. After the reaction I received to that move, when the time came to discuss options after our world turned upside down in 2020, I didn't have the capacity to account for anyone's wishes but mine, my partner, and my kids. Trying to placate others with the original move got me nowhere, and things actually got worse with the control, disrespect. I started looking at the situation critically and realizing how damaging it was that my life as a grown adult was an apparent open forum for the whole family. While I never wanted to hurt them, I also saw the writing on the wall if I kept allowing that dynamic. One day during the quarantine, I had a major realization. I didn't want to grow old and look back on a life I didn't recognize. I had made so many decisions by default, people-pleasing and letting myself be swayed from what would be best for me by other people's interests. I didn't want to live one more day compromising. We ended up moving to a beautiful city and getting jobs with a lot more security. Bought our dream house. The kids are thriving. I stopped living trying to please everyone else. I received a huge amount of blowback, but stood my ground. Cut back contact majorly, starting to talk to a counselor. I had no idea how badly everything was affecting me, and I feel so much better. I don't know why I felt compelled to post again. I guess it's part gratitude for Reddit helping to affirm what I felt and giving me the guts to change the way things were going. Another part is hoping that anyone reading this in a similar situation finds the strength to change. If you are an adult, making healthy and safe choices for your family, please don't let yourself be manipulated by others' motives. Don't allow unspoken social contracts to guilt you into situations that make you anything less than happy. Not the idiot. Congratulations. You did the best thing to ensure your family could thrive, and this Reddit stranger is beaming on your behalf. Enjoy the new surroundings, and may this be the beginning of a wonderful new life for all of you. Do you think an hour and a half drive is too far? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for telling my parents I will have sex in their house whether they like it or not? I, female 22, have a generally good relationship with my parents. We all get along, but they are a bit more conservative than me. I recently decided to move back to their city for a job offer that I took. My parents haven't been doing too well financially and asked me if I wanted to move back in with them for a while. I figured why not? I pay part of the mortgage and in exchange don't need to do as many chores as I would usually have to do. About 6 months ago I started dating my now boyfriend. He lives a few kilometers out of town, so it makes sense for him to stay the night at my place and not the other way around. The other day my parents approached me and told me that they don't want him to stay over anymore because they don't want their daughter to have sex in their house. I was a bit taken aback and told them that I'm sorry, but I'm an adult and it's not like we are allowed or anything. They basically told their house their rules, to which I just laughed because I pay 40% of the mortgage payment, and if it wasn't for me the house would likely not be theirs anymore. So I told them that in my house my rules BS wouldn't fly with me, and if it bothered them so much I'd just get my own place like right now, but I certainly will not be told when I can and can't have sex. Now they're upset because they think I'm trying to blackmail them, but I'm like, mate, I'm paying for this place so I'll frick whoever in whenever I want. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Normally I would say don't have sex in your parents' home ... but you're paying 40% of the mortgage, so they have kind of lost the high ground. Update. You may have guessed it. When I made the post I was pretty upset about what had happened. I've since calmed down and thought about my options. Since no one knows how much longer my parents need help with the mortgage, I decided to move out. If I had known it would be 6 months or even a year it would have been different, but I don't want to stay indefinitely. I think moving out is better for our relationship since they can't seem to understand that I'm an adult who is used to living by herself, paying my own bills and most importantly having a certain amount of freedom. When I let them know what I had decided they obviously weren't thrilled, but in the end they understood and agreed that it's for the best. I suggested that they could rent out my room to make some extra money, and it seems like that's what's going to happen. The house is pretty nice and in a good spot, so it shouldn't be too hard to find someone. As for myself, I'll be moving into my own place again. I'm currently looking at some houses and apartments and it looks like I'm either moving to the CBD or a beach suburb. About the idiot. Don't they know that if they rent out the room to some random person, they will also be having sex in the room in the house? Odd.